tell y'all? You tuning into the best morning show on the globe. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning, y'all.
LeBron or Jordan, either one when I'm performing. Crossover, buzzer beater and I'm scoring. Bradham and Emery in the morning. Every play they on it. Every day I'm balling. Who's the coach? Who's the GOAT? Like Brady and Belichick, best show on the globe. And they embellish it. Y'all pin Ziffy, I'm Ken Griffey or maybe Mahomes. I stay in the zone, whether man to man or play in the zone. They can't stop me. Mayweather boxing, Curry with the shot, man. We just the best to be. Can we have our SB, please? This was meant to be. Every morning with Bradham and Emery.
Yes, sir. Happy Friday, everybody. Bradham in the morning. Marques Bradham, Justin Emery.
Yo.
You know the vibes.
Yes, sir.
So it's like every day we got something new with the Philadelphia football team.
Yeah, man.
We now have
Listen. They may be. I'm allowed for today. They can be called the Eagles.
Okay.
Okay. For today, they're allowed to be called the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
Have a new football coach. Nick Sirianni.
Sirianni?
Sirianni, right?
All right. I don't know. I've never heard anybody pronounce his name before. It's just like that's
Nick
literally
Sirianni,
the first time.
Yeah. Nick Sirianni.
Sirianni. Gotcha.
Italy, stand up.
Italy, stand up.
So brief
South
history.
Philly is hype right now.
Yes, brief history on Nick Sirianni. He one of those guys that started coaching very early. He played a little college football, junior football, nothing major, and then he started coaching immediately. I think at the age of like 23, and he was in the college ranks for a couple years. You know, a cup of coffee here, a cup of coffee there, and then he ended up in Kansas City as an assistant under Andy Reid.
Yep.
And then he gets picked to be an OC over at in Indianapolis with Frank Reich.
Yes.
So you can kind of see how this probably worked out. Where this season was this off season has been about how do we fix Carson Wentz? How do we fix Carson? And this hire makes sense if that's what you're trying to do. Because
I'm really glad it's not Josh McDaniels.
I actually want to explore that a little bit. The Josh McDaniels thing for a little bit later. But yeah, so you know that Frank Reich, number one, prepared him for the interview. He probably gave him all the intel of how successful Carson was in 2017, why he was successful, what he did with them. So Nick Sirianni then took all that information to the Eagles and had probably a great presentation because earlier last week it was Josh McDaniels. That was the guy. He impressed very well in the first round interviews. And in the second round interviews, I heard Joe Brady interviewed pretty well. But Nick Sirianni became the front runner and the guy that, everyone like that they were really impressed by. So, listen, as a fan, you can't overreact to this, you can't underreact to it. It's a wait and see. We don't know. Like when you hire a guy like this where you don't really have tape on him, really see anything. You just don't know. The word around the league is that he is a great motivator. He's very good at picking out players' strengths and identifying them and staying away from the weaknesses. Here's something I heard that I did like is I like the idea that it's been said by people who's worked with him that he's not afraid to coach tough, which is listen. That's what do we talk about Carson Wentz, right? That's one of the biggest things that that's one of the biggest reasons why he's so successful in 17 and even 16. Like 16 didn't have a bad rookie year at all. So the reason why he was so successful those couple of years is because you had Reich and DiFilippo who stayed on that ass, and they made sure you're not talking back, you're not doing any of this stuff. Like we're handling this, and so Doug that wasn't his strong suit. He couldn't get through to Carson that way. Carson completely tuned him out. So hopefully with Sirianni, that's going to be helpful. I did see. Listen, you don't like I said, you don't know, but I was watching on NBC Philly. They did a special talking about the hire, and they showed him working with players in the field. And I mean, listen, it was like a 45-second clip, but he definitely seemed like he seemed like a guy that could get through to people. Like he seemed like he knew what he wanted to say. He delivered it in a manner that made me feel excited, which is hard. I mean, it's. I guess that says something about him. In 45 seconds, could get me excited watching him coach, but it did. It looked. I mean, the way he was communicating with players. You could tell they were into it, and you could tell he was excited about it. Like he was into it. So again, it's a wait and see approach. We have no real idea how it's going to work, but I mean it's obvious this is for primarily for Carson.
Absolutely. No, I mean almost exclusively for him. If you're gonna bring in now, I just want to point out that we fired Andy Reid, then went to Andy and hired his offensive coordinator.
Correct.
Fired his offensive coordinator as our head coach.
Yes.
To hire his former offensive coordinator's offensive coordinator.
I'm following you. Yeah. Pretty much summed it up.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
All right, time to go, guys.
I just want to make sure I understood where we were going.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they are. Well, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Jeffrey Lurie trust Andy Reid like a son.
Then why did he fire him then?
Because it had to happen.
I get it, but
it had to happen. It was his time was done here.
I agree. I'm going to be open minded with this guy. Yeah. I really don't know anything about him.
Yeah, and no one really does. If you say you do, you're lying. No one really knows.
I was getting bashed yesterday online because I had said that I didn't really want Deuce to be the coach.
Yeah.
So I kept getting bashed. Oh, what about this guy? I don't know this guy either.
Right.
But what I do know is that Deuce has been here through 3 different coaching regimes.
Right.
And he hasn't been interviewed anywhere else, and the Eagles haven't promoted him to a position of play calling, and his running back rotation is suspect. Now, I'm not saying he's like everybody talks about how he's smart he is. Mm-hmm. That's great. I know a lot of smart people, like really smart people that are brilliant, who still suck at their jobs.
Yeah, it's his thing.
Okay? Just because you're a nice guy and you're super smart,
right?
That doesn't guarantee you're good. Now, I don't know. I don't know if he's good or not. We don't nobody knows.
I mean, in all fairness, the Eagles haven't really put him in a position to see how great he is. But off of what he is in charge of, so the only thing that we know he's in charge of is the running back rotation. Right.
If I ever see Corey Clement again,
right.
Like, there's the things that he is in charge of. You go,
It's not stellar.
Why does Miles Sanders bust off a 70-yard run and then plays 4 more snaps? We're not talking
devil's
about
advocate. We have no idea. I don't. His job, what he's doing right now.
There's a difference, though. I want to stress this point because this is what somebody tried to make a point to me yesterday on Twitter. I got to express the difference. I said running back rotation, not play selection. I'm not talking about Doug deciding to run the ball 6 times in the second half. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when he does decide to run the ball.
Who's in the game?
Right. That's what I'm pointing to.
Right, yeah. I mean, and we're going to get into a deeper discussion about Deuce a little bit, but I want to focus on Sirianni right now.
Like they run the ball so few times that Miles Sanders should get every carry.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Like you'll look at it and they'll run the ball 24 times. Well, he's more than capable of carrying the ball 24 times.
Right.
He should get every carry.
Right. When it comes to Sirianni though, it's interesting. This has kind of become the playbook for the new, like, gone are the days where you to get a job you almost had to be a head coach somewhere else. And, like, the retread head coaches, those days are over. And now it's like, who is that new hot assistant that no one's heard of that I can hire? Well, that's become the sexy play now. Like
some of it is that, if you do the old head coach, have to coach somewhere, retread, eventually, over the course of time, you'll run out of candidates.
Right.
Because someone with no experience will eventually have to be hired.
Right.
And I think that, I don't know, maybe in the last 5 to 7 years, you started to see that trend beginning to occur.
Yeah.
And I think that this is going to be the way it's going to be moving forward.
I agree. And you think about it, the strategy alone, having a younger head coach, what do you get? You get longevity. You get consistency in your program.
Look,
And
you just got to make sure you hit on them.
right. And football coaches, unlike any other sport, really, they have extreme longevity.
Yes.
Like you're much more likely to see a 10-year football coach than you are anywhere else.
Yeah.
Anywhere else is a lot shorter of a leash usually, but usually football coaches, when they're good, I'll say they get to stick around.
Yes.
And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now we talked about Carson and how this really benefits him, but Nick Sirianni is going to have to be. I don't know if I guess how he's going to hire the coaching staff. Who knows? But whoever's going to hire the coaching staff, that's what's going to make this really go. Is who's going to be around him. Like, yeah, we had our issues with Jim Schwartz, obviously, and I wasn't in love with a lot of his calls or sometimes how he ran his defenses. However, he was kind of a staple. He was a guy like, here's defense, take care of that. They're going to need to have a guy like that for him. Like he's going to have a guy that I would want someone more established. Like I love when Andy Reid as a first-time head coach, probably his best decision in his tenure was hiring Jim Johnson. Probably his best decision in his tenure. And like Jim Johnson was a grizzled veteran at the time already. So it gave Andy Reid ease, who's a guy who's a new head coach, to be able to do his thing and not have to worry about that side of the ball, worry about anything. I want that kind of situation for Sirianni. I think that's important. I think it's important to have a guy that knows what he's doing over there. And even like the position coaches, the offensive line, defensive line, linebackers coaches, all of these guys, you should surround him with as much experience as possible.
I agree. I mean, have we heard any names so far for candidates?
No,
because I have not.
Nothing, and because we don't really know if they're going to allow him to set up a staff. I don't think so because he's a young head coach.
But one thing about going with a guy though with no experience is you don't know who he knows around the league that he can bring in as a staff. Like
that's true.
You don't know who he knows as an offensive coordinator because he's only really been on 2 teams and really. What was he in Kansas City?
He was assistant. Was an offensive assistant. Yeah, he was.
He's not building, relationships like that to build a staff when he's that low.
Right.
So really, he's only had one team to build on.
Right.
And he's not going to pull those staff away from Frank Reich.
Right.
So you don't really. He's going to pull people that he knew from college ranks. Just this guy looks like a great. He looks great on paper. Let's hire him. Boom, throw dart at the board.
Right.
You don't know.
That's why I think you'll probably have Howie have his hand in this and who you're picking.
I'm not necessarily saying I want that either.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about that suggestion either. But like, I feel like that's probably and listen, let's be obvious too. Like,
we're really discussing the lesser of two evils here.
Right, and I think it's worth noting that I definitely believe the Eagles went with a guy like Nick Sirianni because they think, and we don't know this to be true because we don't know him at all, but they think they may be able to push him around a little bit. Like they can get if they want to hire someone, he'll listen because he doesn't have the reputation someone with more of a pedigree has. He's looking at this as thank you guys so much, appreciate the opportunity instead of I'm the guy for the job, I should have been this guy.
I agree.
So for Roseman and Lurie, the way they operate, this to them may seem like the perfect candidate to keep doing what they've been doing, which is meddling. And that doesn't make me feel good. You got to hope you can overcome this. And you also got to, because sometimes with people start off that way where they're very sheepish and quiet, but then they'll get a little more confidence because they'll see themselves being successful, and then they'll start to stand up and be like, okay, enough's enough. I got this. Let me take this from here. So you kind of hope he goes along that route, and he's a guy that is sure of himself and knows when to say no. You don't have to say no all the time. Of course, as a first-time head coach, he's going to have allowances. You can't come in here calling your own shots. It's not how it works. However, I do want him to be able to have the ability to say no to them when he has to. And be like, I don't think it's the greatest of ideas.
He's not coming here and saying no to anybody.
Occasionally, I need you to.
We got.
I need an occasional no.
We got a puppet master, and I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not opposed to it as long as the people pulling the strings know what they're doing.
That's what we're not confident in.
No, not at all.
That's where the problem lies. And it's you mentioned Josh McDaniels,
Yes.
and I know 99% of people did not want him here.
You know what's interesting though, is that is this guy going to be calling the plays?
I would think so, right?
But he's never called plays before.
Right, but I mean, I'm sure would never call plays before. You know what that means to me when you're offensive coordinator? It means that you didn't call games. There had to be a time where Frank goes, "Hey, this drive's yours. This quarter's yours." Maybe he didn't call for a game, but I find it harder to believe he's never called a play in the NFL before. It's like Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson wasn't a play caller with Andy Reid. However,
towards the end of the game,
but yeah, he give it. You got this quarter, you got this half, you got this, series, whatever. Like I'm sure Frank Reich gave him something like that. So I don't put too much stock in that. Something has had to happen. But we talk about Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
Josh McDaniels, I know, like I said, I know a lot of people did not want him here.
No.
But I'm gonna pose you this: was he really the best case scenario? Let me explain. Josh McDaniels, first of all, his run in Denver, he didn't have a quarterback. He had Kyle Orton, right? So,
but he traded up to draft Tim Tebow.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Terrible. Well, I mean, he looked real smart. It looked smart for a little bit, but overall terrible. I completely agree with you. I can't argue with that.
It's not even like he traded up.
The reason why
Tebow.
his name, but the Denver situation, because listen, there's been coaches that had terrible first runs and then figure out second run.
Oh yeah.
The reason why
Pete Carroll.
Exactly. The reason why he's still Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
And Belichick he was okay in Cleveland. I mean,
he was okay.
He got kind of screwed. He wasn't who he was in New England, but he says a lot of the lessons that he learned in Cleveland he brought to New England with pretty much his same coaching staff. Mm-hmm. And we already know what they did over there. So the reason why he's tainted is because of what he did a couple years ago with the Colts. That's why he's not getting interviews anywhere.
Yes.
That's the main reason why people are like, no, that was too far. It has nothing to do with Denver. However, you look at a guy like that, a guy who can stick out his chest a little bit. Because, yeah, he hasn't been successful as a head coach, but he's been successful in the league.
Yeah.
So was that really the best case scenario for the Eagles to have a guy like that here that would stand up to these guys and say, yo, listen, you guys know nothing about football. Just sit down. Let me handle this.
Well, rumor has it that he absolutely has no respect for Howie Roseman, and that it was
who does?
No, that it was visible in the interview.
Right, I'm sure.
That he just doesn't respect Howie Roseman at all.
Well, Josh McDaniels looks like an arrogant guy to begin with.
Well,
you're looking at.
And the thing is, when you got what's he got 3, 4? He's got at least 4 of those Super Bowls, right?
He might be in the 5 range.
I know he's not. I know he hasn't been there for all of them. Because Bill O'Brien has one of them.
So he's part of Rams, right? He's part of Rams. He's part of Falcons. He's part of, I guess, Seahawks. Or Seahawks wasn't Bill O'Brien.
It is. Whoa, no. He's there for all of them.
All of them?
All of them. He's got 6 of them.
Wow. So yeah, so you got a guy coming in with 2 hands of rings.
Yeah.
And I'm looking across at how
now all of them obviously wasn't as a
right, but he was
offensive coordinator for all of them, but he
was a trusted voice in that locker room, and he was Tom Brady's. And we've seen. Here's another thing. Also is that we've seen just brief snippets on television of McDaniels talking back to Brady. We've seen that. We've seen him going after Brady and them disagreeing on the sideline and saying, yo, sit down, listen. We've seen that back and forth with both of them. So when you're standing up to the GOAT that way, you have to think that he's a guy that could definitely get in cars. We talked about this jokingly, but seriously, he could say, hey, when I was coaching Tommy, he could literally say that every day to Carson. Yeah. And what is Carson going to say back to that?
Nothing.
Carson's kill. Timeout. Johnson, timeout. Hey, listen. If you ever do that again, you're going to kill your career. You'll be over there on the sideline. And he can say that with a straight face because he is, widely responsible for that Patriots offense and the way it operated and how good it was. It wasn't Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick didn't do offense. You think Bill Belichick's in the offensive room? No. He would meet with Brady, once a week. They kind of talk over
the game
Brady,
plan.
right?
What they talked about in the meeting.
But he's not in that room. He doesn't want to be in that room. Bill Belichick was nothing to do with offense. He doesn't care. He's a defensive guy. So, he's the only time Bill Belichick will probably be any parts of the offensive room if they're turning the ball over too much, because he hates mistakes.
Yeah.
But other than that, you look.
I'm just looking through right now. He was the offensive coordinator for 3 of them, and the other 3 he was just on the staff.
Right.
He's 44 years old, with 6 Super Bowl rings as a coach.
And you look at that, and was he on the staff that lost to the Eagles? Was he on that staff? So he was offensive coordinator.
He's been there
right?
since 2012.
Okay, so he's offensive coordinator for that year. And that year, that's one of the best versions of the Patriot offense we saw. Even in the Super Bowl, put up over 500 yards of offense. Guys were just running open everywhere. And so I just wonder because it just became the popular thing to say, I don't want Josh McDaniels. But I just wonder.
He was on the staff for 8 of their 9 appearances.
Right. I just wonder if that was really the best case for them and what they actually needed. What do you think?
I think that the answer is both yes and no, and I'll tell you why. Yes, because there's not many guys with that resume. No, because number 1, the Colts. Number 2,
but is he going to do that again? He knows if he does that again, that's a death nail.
And
you're out.
What he has going against him is the now infamous terrible track record of Belichick, assistants becoming head coaches, because it's not a good track record.
Not at all.
And his track record as a head coach isn't good. Now, like you said, there's tons of guys who go out for their first job, fail, come back for the second one and succeed.
Right.
Whatever his next, whatever head coaching offer, whatever he gets, will be his last one.
I agree. He has to get it right here. Absolutely.
And I don't know. It's interesting you say that. At first, I didn't. I don't know. I'm undecided now.
Okay.
Before I was like, I'm glad that we don't have him. Now I'm undecided.
I just go back to what the Eagles' weakness is, and their weaknesses is you got people in charge that don't know what they're doing, and Howie walk around the building like I want a Super Bowl, I got a ring, and he has that arrogant glow because he can talk that talk in this building because there's not many other big time winners in this building. Josh McDaniels comes in this building, he's easily the biggest winner you have. You can't talk to him crazy.
No.
At any point. He is connected to arguably the greatest coach of all time, with the greatest quarterback of all time, with the greatest organization of all time.
Yes. And
you're going to have to respect that. And
he has some legendary showdowns with Tom Brady.
I don't know who called who. I don't know if Josh McDaniels called the Eagles hey, I want to come for an interview, or the Eagles come interview. But I'll flip it now the other way. Is this what the Eagles ever really were going to do? Was Josh McDaniels really going to be their guy?
What if they just interviewed him for 8 hours to pick his brain about Carson Wentz?
Right.
And was strictly an intel gathering operation.
I bring up Kellen Moore for a second. How maybe the Eagles did that just to get some intel on what the Cowboys are doing, what they're doing down there. You can be strategic like that and play a little psychological warfare, no question. If you look at Josh McDaniels of who he is, he doesn't seem like a fit here with the way the Eagles want to do business. So I find it hard to believe that he actually was a guy they were going to hire.
That's what leads me to when I said both yes and no, that sums it up very well. From pedigree, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from a chemistry fit, no.
No, it would be because instantly what you're going to have is, can you imagine the draft room when Howie's like,
no,
I want to take Rieger. And Josh is like, hey, the grown-ups are talking. Go sit down. Here's a coloring book. Go over there and sit down and draw me a picture.
Yeah.
Draw Daddy a picture and shut up. That's what's going to happen. And, we're taking Justin Jefferson in your shop. If we had a guy like Josh McDaniels, If that right, that's what we need. That's not what they want. That's the difference. That's not what they want. They don't want that. They want to be because, as I said yesterday, these are two men that are threatened by other men. They're betas. They're not alphas. They're threatened by other men, especially an alpha. They don't want an alpha in that room. They don't want that. They don't want that at all. They want you. They want to be able to feel like they're in control. And when you do that, you hire Nick Sirianni. You don't hire Josh McDaniels.
It's fair.
So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back,
very
we're
fair.
gonna get into the conversation of black coaches around the NFL because this situation with hiring Nick Sirianni has once again brought that back into the forefront. So I definitely want to talk about that. And I have a clip from Dan Orlowski yesterday speaking on the subject. So we'll get to that also on the other side. And don't forget, later on the show, the debut of Breakfast Bars.
You don't have any idea how excited I am for this.
Yes.
I've been thinking about it since I woke up.
Bradman in the morning, Marcus Brown, Justin Emery. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Marcus Brown. I'd like to talk to you today about Uncle Mike's homemade ice cream. USA Today selected Uncle Mike's homemade ice cream as the best ice cream parlor in Pennsylvania. Uncle Mike's is a family-owned and dedicated to the production of premium quality gourmet ice cream and sorbet. Made fresh daily on the premises using the highest quality ingredients available, Uncle Mike's features over 30 unique, delicious flavors, offering scoops, sundaes, shakes, and special order ice cream, cakes, and pies. Uncle Mike's homemade ice cream is located at 537 York Road in Warminster and is open all year round. Visit Uncle Mike's and let their friendly staff serve you happiness one scoop at a time. Yeah, man. Welcome back. Brad in the morning. Marques Brown, Justin Emery.
You.
So, there's with everything going on in the world today, especially the past couple years, it started kind of with, especially in the NFL with Colin Kaepernick in 2016, everything that happened with him, and everything that's been going on with the world and everything that a lot of people are opening their eyes to things as a black man that I've known for my entire life. So that's leaked into sports heavy. The racism conversation in sports is at an all-time high, and that's a great thing. But at the same time, sometimes you have to take things and look at things as individual and singular moments. Dan Orlovsky spoke about the deficiency of black coaches in the NFL. He spoke about it yesterday. I want to play that clip, and then afterwards I'm going to react to that.
I wrote my thoughts down on a piece of paper because I want to make sure that I got them right, because I'm aware, like, I'm a white guy talking about this right now that played in the NFL for 12 years, and my favorite coach and my best coach is a black coach. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I expressed myself the right way. I couldn't imagine what it feels like to work for years and years and years for something that, one, is a passion of mine, but then two, is the optimal way for me to support my family. And that support really levels off the starting point for my kids, only to know that the work doesn't matter. The results don't matter. The character and how I do it doesn't matter. Now, because me, Dan Orlovsky, personally, I knew long ago, and I experienced it, and I still do now, that if I, the white guy, work really hard and have really good results, and the character that I do it in is at the highest level, I'm going to climb. I will elevate. That's not right. That's not okay. And so it's not just what's the answer. Like, this is the NFL. This is our NFL. This is our NFL. We all have a hand in this. We all have to hold the owners accountable to make sure that the internal thought process that the black and the minority head coaching candidates have no longer is a reality for them.
I agree 1,000% with everything Dan Orlovsky just said there. And if you look around the league, there is no question at all that there is a deficiency in black head coaches in the NFL in all leagues. That's just how life has been forever for black people. However, when it comes to Eric Bieniemy in a situation with the Philadelphia Eagles, that does not apply here. There were reports out. Eric Bieniemy had an interview with the Eagles on Monday. It was supposed to be through Zoom. He apparently decided not to take that interview. Now, I believe personally he did that because probably Andy Reid said that's not where you want to go based on where the Eagles were trending and the idea that he would not be in control. So I personally believe in this situation, that doesn't apply. Now, should Eric Bieniemy be a head coach? Damn right he should be a head coach. He should be a head coach wherever he wants to be a head coach with the foundation he's built in Kansas City. And I do believe that those elements of race are in play in other places. That didn't apply to this situation. That's how I feel about that one. Deuce. Deuce is complicated because you could look at Deuce from both perspectives. I heard you earlier when you were talking about Deuce and what have we seen for him to make us believe he'd be a head coach? What about him makes you think he should be a head coach? Why won't the Eagles promote him? What are they seeing that we're not seeing? But you can also look at that from the perspective of a Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's most relevant coaching experience before was it was high school.
Yeah.
And so he got a job right away. And we can't sit here and have a conversation about this and not talk about there definitely is white privilege, and especially when it comes to situations like this. However, again, it's complicated because Eric Bieniemy, I don't think that applies here with the Eagles. I don't think that applies here. Not across the league, here. And Deuce, I just don't know. I don't know because, I'm conflicted as a black man. I'm conflicted. I feel bad for Deuce because I can't imagine working for an organization for this amount of time, interviewing 3 times for a job, and they tell you no every time, you're not good enough, and pass you over every time, and you stay with that organization. That has to be tough. But again, we don't know what Deuce is. But again, we don't know what Nick Sirianni is. So why couldn't that be Deuce?
I mean, I think that so I got killed yesterday for the stuff I said about Eric Bieniemy.
What exactly? I wasn't a privy to the conversation. So what exactly were you saying?
I made 2 points. I said the first point I said is number one, which my first point I'll make second.
Okay.
So the first thing I said is do we like he's a detriment of his own success. He can't really do in-person interviews because his team goes so deep into the playoffs the last 3. This is the 3rd year in a row he's been in the hosting the AFC Championship game.
Right.
Teams so we're now almost 4 weeks removed from the end of the race, from Black Monday.
Right.
When they hire or when they fire all the coaches they're gonna get rid of.
Right.
We're almost 4 weeks removed from that. Teams don't want to wait an extra month to get somebody in the building to start righting the ship that let's be honest, if you're firing your coach, you're screwed.
Right.
So you want to get somebody in here and start working right away. You don't want to wait. So
you got killed for that?
So that was the point number, like that was the side point I was making.
Okay.
The first point I was making is I'm looking at it from my perspective.
Okay.
I have the chance to become a Josh McDaniels. I can stack 3, 4, 5 rings in my trophy case, then go become a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not saying Eric Bieniemy, but you'd have to be foolish to not consider it. That's what got me killed.
So I'm confused why. So what was everyone else saying in rebuttal of this? Why were people? Because here's why I'm confused. Like that's a. It's not, and this is the problem with the society we live in today. Let's go a different direction with this. This is my problem with society today, is that people are now like, when it comes to all of the, like, people want to be like the wokest, Like we can't look at situations singularly. Everything has to be put in one pot. I think Eric Bieniemy's situation, like you said, I believe, I agree with you.
Like if he was the offensive coordinator for, say, the Chargers, I'm not saying that.
Right.
This guy has arguably someone who could be the greatest football player ever.
Right.
Under center, under a 10-year deal, and he's only 25.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy's tough because he really could call his own shot. Like he doesn't have, like you said, like he doesn't need to be in a. It's like a Josh McDaniels. He doesn't need to be in a rush to find a job.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like the past couple of years, his name's kind of been tossed around a little bit, but do we know how anxious he's been to leave the organization?
Well, so he came out. So someone replied to me with a clip from him in a press conference where he's talking about what he's doing. He's like at the end of the day, do I want to become a head coach one day? Yes, but right now I'm focused on being the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs and making them the best team. He's like, but at the end of the day, one day I'll be a head coach.
Right.
And he sent it to me and was like, gotcha. The only thing is that video had come out an hour before I made that comment. So I don't know why you're trying to got me on a video.
And what he said was, I do want to be a head coach one day.
Yeah.
He didn't say today.
But
he didn't say like this is what I want. Now that a lot of that was the press speak where he can't come out and be like, yeah, I want to be hired tomorrow. So yeah, I'm sure it's on his radar. He wants to do it, but I don't think Eric Bieniemy is a great representation of the black coach argument because he has way more options than a lot of other for a black coach. Honestly, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to go to a different sport. Steven Silas.
I don't know who that is.
Steven Silas from the Houston Rockets. He's Paul Silas' son.
I don't know who that is.
He's the head coach of Houston Rockets.
Okay.
So Steven Silas got hired this past year. He got hired after 20 years of being an assistant coach. He gets hired. He was with people are giving him a lot of responsibility for the growth of Luka Doncic. He was in Dallas Mavericks organization. He was assistant with Rick Carlisle, and he basically is responsible for
I'm
that.
gonna look up who is it?
Steven Silas.
Steven.
He's responsible for a lot of their success in Dallas and a lot of their organizational success.
He's the head coach of the Rockets now. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. All right. Got
And
it.
he was with Dallas. He's responsible for a lot of their offensive success, especially, and like I said, people are crediting him with Luka Doncic's success. So he gets the job, and immediately he gets the job, James Harden decides that he's going to do what he's going to do. Russell Westbrook demands a trade. And my point of this is that a lot of times with black coaches, they get put in these situations that are really, really bad, and then you just it doesn't go well because they don't have the support, and then you never hear and see from them again. They don't get the second chances that white coaches do. So that's a point, generally speaking, in the grand scheme of things. However, Eric Bieniemy, it's hard to make that argument with him because of all of his options that other
like
black
said,
coaches don't have and will never get.
He's 3 consecutive years MVP caliber, or not MVP winner quarterback,
Right.
Super Bowl winner, potentially best record in the NFL, a back-to-back Super Bowl winner. Like you said, he can call his own shot.
But the black coach argument to me is represented best by like Todd Bowles. Like Todd Bowles is the guy that should get another opportunity.
Oh, he will.
Right, but he hasn't. That's the point.
Isn't he still playing right now? He's the defense coordinator.
Right, but I'm saying
he'll be a head coach again.
Right, but it should have already happened. And like and we, I mean, honestly, it's want to say that, but we don't know that based on trends.
Well, he's been interviewing for jobs.
Right, but he doesn't have one.
No, I'm saying like this year he's been interviewing. But
and you look at
he's though for the sake of this season, he falls into the same issue with Bieniemy where his team's still playing.
Right.
So I'm saying for like this year.
Right, for this year, yeah, I agree with you for this year. But you look at the grand scheme of black coaches in the NFL, it is a deficiency. There needs to be more, no question about that. But when it comes to Deuce Staley, I don't know. I am conflicted because I see it from both perspectives.
Well, what if obviously Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are in the building around him day in, well, maybe not Lurie, but Howie Roseman's around him day in, day out.
Right.
What if he just doesn't have it from their perspective? I mean, like, we don't know. We're not in the building.
Right.
I'm just trying to throw out different theories.
That's
like
I almost wish they would come out if that's the case.
I don't like from the outside. Somebody like, for example, like say like one of somebody you're friends with somebody that's super famous. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
They might have one image that everybody's like, oh, this guy, but you're around them all the time. You talk to them all the time.
1,000%.
And you're like that, like, yeah, he does that great, but you don't know all these other things.
Right.
Now, like I said, we don't know. We're not in the building. I'm just trying to throw out different theories. But what if that's it? What if what if he checks off all these boxes, but all these boxes he doesn't check off?
And you could be 1,000% correct. But they need to say something if that's the case, because now you're opening up the can of worms of, well, why doesn't Deuce ever get a chance? Well, the players love him. Like, why does Deuce ever get? Because there was a lot of guys.
And
like
my counter argument to that,
unlike a lot of other players were voicing their opinion about hiring him.
But my counter argument to that is no other team ever brings him in for their interviews either. No college programs bring him in and not even just for head coaches. He's never getting looked at other teams by offensive coordinator jobs. He's the running back coach. He never gets. I question if he's like. I question if if he's just more of a like guy you have on the staff because you got to have guys that he might be a glue piece. He just glues everything together, and you got to have guys like that on a coaching staff.
Right.
And sometimes it can be your head coach. Sometimes it has to be somebody else.
Right.
And he might fall into that. Something like, I don't know.
Well, here's what needs to happen for this all to be solved.
But if I'm him, I'm out.
That's what I was going. He needs to go elsewhere.
Yeah, for his own sake.
Like someone brought this up yesterday. I think it's a great way to go. He should go try to get a job as like an office coordinator in a college program. Doesn't have to be that doesn't have to be a huge program, but something mid-level.
Somewhere you're running
you're
the
guy.
offense.
And if he gets hot and takes an offense and gets it together, he'll be back up here in no time.
I agree.
And up here in a much prominent position. So I think that's the move for him. But he can't. If I'm him, if I'm his agent, if I'm anyone working with them, I'm like, yo, you gotta go, bro. It's time. I know you love the Eagles, but you gotta go.
But what if he goes? Say that happens. He becomes the offensive coordinator at a college and fizzles out.
Then we'll know.
But
then we'll know the answer.
And then
he's got to bet on himself now. Like, it's time for him to bet on himself. If he thinks he deserves to be a head coach in the NFL, it may not be fair if he is talented and he's getting looked over. He's got to go prove it. You got to go prove it. Go somewhere else that's not here. Go get a offense coordinator job, like I said, at a college, a Tennessee or a program like that.
Well, let me ask you this: Does Deion Sanders have an OC yet?
I don't know. I mean, that'd be a great fit.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's littering his coaching staff with former NFL players.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what he needs to do now. That's what I would do if I was him.
Jackson State. Jackson State, I believe.
Yeah. I'm going to feel bad if he comes back here next year. I don't want to see Deuce on the sidelines here.
Yeah.
I want better for him. If he thinks he deserves better, well, damn it, go out and get better.
Sometimes I wonder how much of the fan support for him to be the coach is still them enjoying him as a player.
It could be a little bit
because I think that sometimes when you are a player for a certain team and a fan favorite, like Doug Peterson, I wouldn't necessarily consider him a fan favorite here.
Right, but Deuce definitely was.
Yeah. It's hard to, because of public backlash, it's hard to not, have them as prominent in the team. Like, for example, if Peyton Manning wanted to be a head coach, Frank Reich would be fired tomorrow. Like, it just is what it is. He'd be fired tomorrow if Peyton Manning wanted to be a head coach.
Right.
I was going to say if John Elway, he runs a team, but you don't want him to be your head coach.
No.
But it's just when you have fan favorite, like Dawkins. I mean, he
was on the path. He decided to step away.
Yeah, but could you imagine him being like, interviewing for the job and the Eagles having to come out and be like, we hired somebody else besides Brian Dawkins?
Right.
Now,
PR nightmare.
Obviously, like I said, Deuce is not to the level of Dawkins, but he is a fan favorite, and I just wonder how much of people enjoying him as a player pushes over into, no, we have to have him as the coach.
I think we agree. I think we both can agree on this before we go to break. Is that at the end of the day, this situation is not fair to Deuce because you're making him look like a clown by keep bringing him these interviews.
And the more
and
not if he hangs around,
and it's like your credit, right? When someone runs your credit goes down. So like people around the league are going to be like, well, this guy's been, even if he's talented, well, this guy's been in the organization. He's been interviewed 3 times, and you guys didn't hire him once. Why would we want him? He becomes tainted goods, and that's not fair to him. That's why he's got to go. He's got to go somewhere else so he could try to be what he thinks he is or be what he is. He needs to bet on himself. But we're going to take a break. When we come back on the other side, I want to get into what this all means for Jalen Hurts and what I think the Eagles should do with Jalen Hurts.
And later on, we are going to go into one of the wildest press conferences you will ever hear.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
absolutely. You listen to that clip?
I listened to it, and I was talking to Dan Lust, the sports attorney.
Yeah.
He's like, this sounds like premeditated assault.
Yes. Actually, you know what? I actually forgot about that. Let's do that first. I want to address that first on the other side, and then we'll go into Jalen Hurts and what this all means for him and what the Eagles should do with him. And also, we're going to get back to that fast food breakfast conversation. And then breakfast bars.
Oh, I'm so excited. Great
Brad
Friday show.
Marques, Brad, I'm Justin Emery. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Brad Emery Morning, Marcus Brad, Justin Emery. A lot of head coaching hires yesterday.
A lot of them, 3.
And we're going to go to the most interesting press conference clip maybe of all time. Dan Campbell was hired by the Detroit. This is so on brand for this to be a Detroit Lions press conference.
Now, there's been a lot of wild press conferences out there.
Yeah.
Playoffs?
Playoffs?
Yeah, there's that. There's and
you play to win the game.
Yes, you got Crazy Eyes, Adam Gase.
Practice?
Well, I'm talking more coaches. But yeah. But you got all sorts of crazy ones. You got the one, I think it was Iowa State's head coach back in like 2009. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah.
You got
I'm
that
man, I'm
one.
40. Yep.
You have all sorts of crazy ones.
This may take the cake.
This may take the cake.
Like, I saw this clip on SportsCenter. First time I saw it.
When you called me yesterday and was like, did you hear this?
Yeah, well, we were in the middle of a conversation. I just stopped talking. I went euphoric.
Yeah, I was like.
I was just like.
Hello?
I was like, there? I'm sorry. I just got distracted by what was on my television. And it was funny. They went back to the Anchor SportsCenter. They didn't know what to say.
What do you say?
What do you say after this? How do you follow this up? But here's Dan Campbell in his introductory press conference to Detroit Lions.
Let the clip speak for itself.
So this team's going to be built on we're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and we're going to get up. And then it's going to take
Tom and Jerry cartoon?
Got no
and
kneecaps.
We're going to take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing, all right? That's going to be the mentality. So this team's going to be built on we're going to kick you in the teeth.
I mean, I respect the enthusiasm, but it was very aggressive.
I have one of my.
He sounds like a meth addict.
Yes, my first thing is that it sounds like they're going to commit a lot of penalties.
Yes.
Okay. So there could be a lot of penalty yards. That's number one.
Yeah, if you're biting kneecaps, you're definitely going to get a flag.
So that's where we're going to start with that. I'm going right now. Detroit might be the most penalized team, and Sue's not even on the team anymore.
He could have just stopped with, they'll kick us in the teeth, we're going to get right back up. That's okay.
Yeah.
But we're biting kneecaps and throwing things and smiling at people and kicking them in their feet. What is happening?
Secondly.
It's Mortal Kombat?
God, it sounds like it. Second, okay, sounds borderline assault.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not one to incriminate yourself, and you just did that, sir.
Yeah, you said a lot of things you probably can't say.
Yeah.
And like if you know how it is with the NFL today. They don't want any of that nonsense. Like that's something you would hear like maybe 30, 35 years ago. I think that's why it's so shocking because like the NFL's come a long way from people like that, and he sounded like an old school NFL man. So right away people look at him like,
yeah.
Keep an eye on Detroit. They're trying to get wild.
And third and final. Why are you taking so many shots? Why aren't you delivering shots?
Right.
Like, are you just on defense the whole time? You're not playing offense?
Right. You're getting abused a lot.
Yeah, like, why aren't you?
Why are these people doing this to you?
Yeah. You're going to be fired in 2 years like Matt Patricia if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, but isn't this so on brand for Detroit?
Yeah.
Like, they just can't figure it out.
So, I remember I had a wild football coach in high school. The defensive coordinator was wild.
Okay.
The head coach was kind of like a CEO head coach type. Like he delegated. Like our defense coordinator ran the defense. Like that was everything.
Yeah.
Our head coach, like our offensive coordinator, called the plays on. He like I said, he was kind of like the CEO coach.
Yeah.
He was one of those coaches that was coached for like 30 years. So when I was in high school, he had multiple championships, but it was from like 15 years before I was there.
Okay.
But he was still had the titles to his name. And so we're getting ready to play a game against Wissahickon High School. first game of the season, and I'm just hyped because I'm like, yo, it's the first game of the season. Like, I got the decal on my helmet.
Yeah,
I got the jersey.
You're ready.
I don't
You're ready to run through a wall.
Yo, I don't even need the door for the locker room. I'm going through the wall. You know what I mean?
Justin Emery size hole for the wall.
Oh, it's going down.
happening.
Like I was ready to happen.
Yeah.
Like it was the big game because they had won like the championship the year prior.
Oh, okay.
So like it was like the first game of the season.
Right.
They were hanging the banner. So
you're ready to go.
Oh, I was ready to go.
It's war.
Now I cannot repeat what this guy said in that locker room on this show.
Okay.
But I was sitting there. I'm like, man, we're in high school and he's just doing. What are they doing in the NFL?
Yeah.
I was hyped.
Yo,
I was hyped.
It kind of like the
And
stories.
we won the game.
There you go. The stories back in the day about Ray Rhodes when he coached. The things he was saying.
Yo,
You hear Ike Reese tell Ray Rhodes stories on air?
Yeah.
Like how the things that he would say to them, they would like, what?
I heard a story one time about Woody Hayes was speaking about a game on the road in Michigan, and he was like cursing and so profane and was so off the rails.
Yeah.
That assistant coaches had to step in and be like, "Yo, listen, okay,
calm down.
Like you're going."
The thing
Like,
is
he
with-
used to tell people, if you're going to drive from Ohio State to Michigan to watch this game, make sure you buy your gas at the border so you don't spend your money on taxes on Michigan gas.
That's aggressive. But the thing is with football coaches, they have to have a little bit crazy in them. Quick story before we go to break. I went to the legendary Central Bucks West High School, and I was when I was in school at West, that was prime CB West. That's when we were first in the state, third in the nation. Coach Pettin, the legendary late great Coach Mike Pettin. Mike Pettin, you might not know Mike Pettin Jr. in the NFL, but his dad,
legend, absolute legend.
So I played football at Lenape. Junior high.
So you were very familiar then with the infamous Philadelphia high school football name, Ted Sillery.
Yes. So I played at Lenape, right? And I liked football, but I didn't love football. I loved watching it. I liked it. It was fun. But it wasn't a job for me, you know what I mean? And so like basketball was my first love. Basketball, I would do anything for basketball. But I played both sports because I just liked football. So Mike Carey, who took over for Pettin after he retired back in I think it was 2000 when Pettin retired, 99, 2000, somewhere in there. I think it was the year after I left school. Coach Pettin used to literally pull his truck up, and I was getting off the practice field, and just drive and talk to me about West football and how excited he was I was coming up and all this stuff. And I knew the rumors of West and how great they were, so I was like, yeah, I got to do this. So CB West ran like an NFL program. But we had we had training camp.
Yeah.
Training camp started in mid-July, and it went all the way to school. And they put us on a program, stuff like that. So I get up there in 10th grade, and I go through training camp, but halfway through I'm like, this is not what I want to be doing.
Yo, this ain't it.
This is not it at all. This is not. I don't feel this way.
You wake up and you're sore the second you wake up.
Right. I would do anything for basketball. I would not do anything for football.
Yeah.
And that's how I was. So first preseason game, I got hurt in practice, so I didn't dress. But I knew I was done. So I go to Coach Carey. I'm like, listen, I don't want to waste your time. This is not for me. And he's like, you can go talk to Coach Pettin. I'm like pooping my pants. I'm like this is Coach Mike Pettin, legendary Coach Pettin. We've had maybe 4 conversations, and it was all, hey, Bradham. That's basically it. And the only reason you know my name, that's back when I used to tape the name.
On the front
of the helmet. It's the only reason why I knew. But that was basically it. Or if I was doing something stupid, he would correct me or whatever. So he's sitting at his desk, getting, I guess, game planning, whatever like that. And I knock on the door. Coach, and he looks up and he's seeing through me. I'm freaking out. So I walk in and I'm like, take a deep breath. I'm like, listen, Coach, I don't want to waste your time. I appreciate the opportunity. I was like, but this isn't for me. I was like, I feel like I could be a great football player, but I don't feel like I have what it takes and the dedication to be a great football player. I was like, I'm going to walk away, and so you can go back to your program with people, and I don't want to take up a slot of a person who really deserves it. He sat there and looked at me for like what felt like 5 years. And he stood up, put his hand out, and he's like, I appreciate that, son. I'm glad you know what you want. Good luck. And then it was the coolest thing because he was teaching at the time there.
Well, every high school football coach taught history.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. He was a history teacher. Yep. Every time he saw me in the highway. Every time he saw me in the hallway, he would stop me and straight up talk with me. Like, hey, how you doing? How's school going? How's basketball going? He was so nice to me after that. I think he respected the fact that I had the balls to go in there and do that and not waste his time. But like, I was scared to death. But we didn't lose a game. I got there in 95. We didn't lose a game until 2 years I was removed from high school. Didn't lose a game. Averaging like 44-3 with victories. It was ridiculous.
So we got killed all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not all the time. We were good. Like we had some good players, but overall a bad team.
Right.
Except like the year like after I left, they switched conferences and won like 3 championships in a row.
Oh, that's annoying.
And I was like, what's going on here?
Right.
No, you know, I'll tell you real quick before we go to break the story about when I knew I was done with football. It was practice one time, and we had like an all-world running back. Like he had at the end of his junior year, I think he had like 2,200 yards, and he had like 20. He was one of those guys that does like 2,000 yards every year in high school.
Yeah.
He went on, I think he played at like University of Indiana or something. You know, he just went on, kept playing. He didn't make the NFL, but
yeah.
And I was like, he was really skinny. Here's the thing is, I didn't understand like how he was so good. He never lifted weights. He was just that guy who could just go out there and play.
Right.
And I was playing safety, and they're like, they're like, we're doing full contact, just don't hit the quarterback. And I was like, all right, if I see him come through the hole, like I'm
ready.
I'm laying it on him.
I'm lighting him up.
Like I'm you know, he might be like set to be like the running back for the All-State team. I'm lighting him up. He comes through the hole. I see the guard pull and hit the linebacker. I was like, yo, I'm dropping the hammer on this guy. He stiff-armed me. Knocked my helmet sideways. My nose came my nose came out of my ear hole, but he stiff armed me so hard, my chin strap didn't pop. That's how hard he stiff-armed me. I literally took my helmet off, and I was like, yo.
I'm out.
Yo, I'm so glad this is my last year doing this.
Yeah.
I didn't pull Avante Davis and quit in the middle of it, but he hit, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Some people just they come through different.
Right.
And that was
different. Yeah. I think the Oklahoma drills in 95-degree heat was the beginning of my downfall.
Yeah. No. Dude. That I see it. Because he never wore gloves. He was one of those no glove running backs. I see his hand hit the face mask, and boom, my whole helmet just started spinning. But normally I expect it, and the chin strap. The thing that was crazy is the chin strap didn't pop.
That's insane. That's precision. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into what all of this means, the head coaching hire of Philadelphia Eagles for the backup quarterback, and what I believe the Eagles should do with Jalen Hurts. It's Brad Emery in the morning. It's Marcus Brad. It's Justin Emery. We'll be right back. Yeah, man. Welcome back. Brad Emery in the morning. Marques, Brad, Justin Emery. So I want to address Jalen Hurts because,
Did you hear about that? Apparently, the Eagles have not talked to him since the end of the season.
Does it surprise you?
I heard it. I caught it was
On brand.
Paul Domowitch said it last night. He said he has on very good information that since his exit interview with Doug, the Eagles have not spoken to him.
Not surprised. So he is, with all, obviously he has a phone and he has a TV and he's reading all this, seeing all this, and hearing all this stuff about Carson's feelings and how Carson feels and, and everything that Carson's been through. And now we're hiring coaches for Carson, and Howie and Jeffrey want Carson. You're not hearing your name at all in there. And you exited the season as a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So you're now in this precarious position where, what does your future look like? Where do you? What's the best thing for you? Now, I think Jalen Hurts. The best thing for Jalen Hurts is for him to be traded, him personally. But I don't care about the best thing for Jalen Hurts because I'm not a Jalen Hurts fan. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Right.
So I personally believe if I'm the Eagles, the best thing for them is to keep him around this year. I don't care.
I'm bringing both back regardless of anything.
I don't care. I don't care how Carson feels. I don't care.
I don't care how either one of them feels.
If you want, listen, here's the deal, bro. You want this job, go out there and take it. Because I'm not going to get rid of this insurance policy that I have in case you implode again. Because as much as the Eagles are doing now to right the wrongs with him and to get Carson back in good graces and all of that stuff, we just don't know if it's going to work. It's not guaranteed he's going to get his form back. We don't know he's going to go back to 2017. We don't know he's going to go back to 2018. We have no idea. Or 2019. We don't know. So why in the world would you trade Jalen Hurts this offseason when he's on a rookie deal? He's not really costing you much of anything. And you can have an opportunity, if Carson implodes, to keep him. Now, if Carson goes on to have a great year and Carson plays really, really well, then I think the best case scenario, what you do is you say goodbye to Jalen Hurts next year. And next year you trade him.
I mean,
but this year is no reason to get rid of him.
No, you're keeping them both this year, regardless of what either one of them thinks. I don't care.
I agree.
And
it's going to be some hurt feelings.
And that's that. Yeah,
it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. There's no question it's going to be weird, but Carson, you're a grown man. You got to get through this. And Jalen, I'm sorry. This is what it is.
It just is what it is.
This is how it's going to work. This is a mess that was created by all the politics of last year. And honestly, let's call a spade a spade. It was directly created by the poor play of Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz balls out for the season, we're not having this conversation about Jalen Hurts. However, he didn't. So he's gonna have to deal with this. You're gonna have to go in the training camp, and I know Carson right now is a lead guy. That's how they position him. But Jalen goes in and balls out in training camp, and Carson doesn't. We're back here again. And I'm okay being back here. I want to figure this out in this offseason.
I mean, it will get figured out.
I want to figure it out. I want to know. I want to go forward and know, who my quarterback is. That's what this year pretty much to me is about. Who's going to be the guy leading us forward for the next 5 years? Is it going to be Carson Wentz or is it going to be Jalen Hurts? We need to figure that out this year. That's what this year is about for me. I need to know that going forward. Because, again, Carson, put your feelings in a bag. Put them in a bag. Go to training camp, be a big boy, and play. And play well. That's what you're going to have to do. You've now gotten to the point now where you were so bad last year and you've caused so many problems. You have to kind of compete for your job. Is it your job, wink, wink? Yeah, it is. You're the front runner. You're in a good – after everything that happened last year, he's in a pretty good position as far as his standing going into next year.
Let me ask you this. Yes, if in a complete 100% open competition, do you really think Jalen Hurts could beat Carson Wentz?
No, he shouldn't.
Carson, if he comes in and treats training camp like it's a job, and he should, on paper, looking at it, should blow Jalen Hurts out of the water, and he should blow 20 other starting quarterbacks in the NFL out of the water if it was a training camp battle.
Let me play devil's advocate with you for a second, because we don't know what type of work ethic Jalen Hurts has, right? What is he like? Because if this is me, this offseason, I started training the day season ended, and I'm going into training camp like I'm taking this job. I'm working on whatever I need to work on to get better, and I'm coming in even more improved than I was going into last season.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So is that his work ethic?
I don't know.
Is he a powder? Is he a woe is me guy, which we don't want? I'm interested to see how he comes into camp this year. Like what he comes in looking like.
Well, I don't know if this has any, bearing on that, but I mean, he did get benched at Alabama and then just left.
This is true.
I'm not saying that's a direct, correlation to anything that's happening, but I mean, he got benched in Alabama, and instead of going to training camp, now let's be honest, he probably would have lost to Tua.
Yeah.
But instead of competing, he just transferred.
Yes. This is true. I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. Now, maybe he learned from that, and maybe now he's looking at this as kind of a redemption story of that capacity. I don't know. But I know this. You're behind going to be in training camp competing with Carson this year. I'm not trading you.
Yeah.
You're both going to have to figure this out. And it's going to be weird. It's going to be uncomfortable. But you know what? I say this all the time to my kids. Sometimes in life, you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable again.
Yeah.
And this is one of those situations where we got to do that.
Yeah. We I wish that for a day I didn't feel like the Eagles aged me 5 years.
Right. Right. It's just a situation where this year has exposed all the problems kind of been building for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And everything was just exposed this year. So now we got to start through the rubbish.
But, enough about the Eagles.
Yes.
Okay. We got 2 big games this weekend.
Yes.
Let's get into some talk around the NFL.
I'm in. Because you know how excited I am for this weekend. I am excited.
Now, I want to get this real quick out of the way.
Okay.
One of my favorite national media guys, I don't hide how much I enjoy listening to this guy, said an incredibly dumb comment this week.
I know where you're going.
About
put it out there.
About the AFC Championship game.
Yes.
And I expect some idiot to have this take. I don't expect him to have this take though. I expect this from probably. Should I name drop who I think expect?
Yes.
I expect Nick Wright to have this take. I expect some local media in Kansas City to have this take.
Yeah. Maybe a Whitlock.
I was about to say I forget the guy's name who just lost.
Allen Iverson's favorite.
So
Whitlock.
So Whitlock. I'm sure he'd say something like this. And if you notice this trend, it's people who are Kansas City Chiefs fans in the media.
Right.
So Colin Cowherd came out and said this on Monday, which we'll get into it after the clip, but I could not disagree with possibly anymore.
Write that thing. But we want Mahomes against Josh Allen, right? Like that's reasonable. And I'm sitting here this morning thinking, if I'm the NFL, Patrick Mahomes is going through protocol. I find the day Patrick Mahomes can play, that's when we play. Why not? The end right.
So
I think we can talk about why not right now, since you asked that question.
So imagine the number one, the precedent this would set.
Yeah.
Secondly, this is almost such a dumb take that I don't know how to address it.
Right.
So we're going to pause the game because Mahomes got hurt and might not be able to play in this game just because he's Mahomes. Like, am I getting that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why? Like, I wonder, would he come out and say the same exact thing if Josh Allen had gotten hurt?
I don't think so.
Or if the Ravens had won, because remember, Lamar got knocked out of the game with a concussion.
Right.
So had the Ravens won that game and Mahomes didn't get hurt, but Lamar was in concussion protocol, would he say that?
Right. Now, well, listen, this still makes the comment stupid, but I think he was trying to make a point of the landscape we're living in now with COVID, how games are being moved around. But one has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, I understand that you're moving games around, but that's not because someone got knocked out of the game.
Exactly.
With a concussion.
That is a completely different situation.
Because, I didn't hear – I said this I think I was talking to Twitty on Sunday night. We were texting about the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, you're about to see a lot of hypocrisy this week. You're about to see a lot of hypocrisy. Because the same thing that Wentz got bashed for, Mahomes will get the pass on.
Right.
I didn't hear him coming out when Wentz got same injury.
Right.
Concussion.
Right.
I didn't hear everybody coming out. It was, well, he's injury prone. Well, this is now 2 years in a row Mahomes has been injured.
And also Mahomes was hurt also earlier in the game.
Yeah, with his toe.
He did something with his foot, his toe.
Oh yeah, what it looked like when he went to go plant.
Yeah.
And one of his spikes got stuck in the grass.
Right.
So it drug his foot a little bit when he was throwing.
he was that's what makes the decision.
Last year he hurt his ankle.
Right.
He missed 3-4 games last year.
He had the kneecap.
Oh, it was the knee? I thought it was the ankle.
He was a separated kneecap.
Okay, yeah, I know he missed 3 or 4 games last year. I thought it was the ankle.
Yeah. And he was supposed to be out longer, but he made a speedy recovery.
But you never hear that. I mean, I'm not trying to say that Wentz is as good as we're not. We're not debating that. That conversation has been buried.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, we got 2 years in a row now,
mm-hmm.
including one of them being a playoff game.
Right.
But we don't ever hear that.
No. And the idea of pausing a game because a player is hurt, you just can't do that because it ruins the ethics of the game. Because then let's play this game with him for a second. Because then what ends up happening is, who do you determine is worth it to reschedule a game for? Let's say a key defensive player is out, and are you pausing the game for him? Or what if a player is really important to me, but he's not a national star, and I deem him really, really important? I call the office and say, hey, we're missing, so-and-so. Can we push the game back? You just can't do that. You can't do that. And I know these guys on national media. They're hot take specialists. I can't believe that he actually believes this.
Yeah.
This had to be something to have a conversation and get people talking. Is no one in the world he believes that the NFL should postpone a game because a player is hurt. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen.
No.
That's number one. And did he pass protocol yet or not?
So yesterday the report out on him was he actually practiced.
I mean, I fully expected him to play the entire time.
He practiced for the first time yesterday, no contact. So once he gets to the point where he can have contact, even though they don't do contact in practice,
right?
Once they say he's clear for contact, that's the official last step. So today is a big day.
He's trending. He's trending.
He's trending in the right direction. I mean, listen.
But they were never going to do that, number one.
Right.
But secondly, imagine saying that on TV and then being like, yeah, I believe it.
Right. It's ridiculous. So I want to get into the first matchup of the day, which is Brady versus Rodgers.
Yes.
Which is a matchup that we should all see way more.
Before we dive into it, I want who wins right now. I just want your pick.
I'm leaning Green Bay. I got the Bay.
So do I as well.
Green Bay.
I was going to say which one. I agree. I'm going Green Bay. Green Bay too.
I feel like this is Aaron Rodgers' time.
Yes.
You gotta with sports. Sometimes you just gotta follow momentum and the way it looks. And this game, as competitive as Tom Brady is, as much as he wants to be in another Super Bowl and all that stuff, this game, just from a psychological standpoint, just means more to Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers has not had nearly the opportunities that Tom Brady's had. And, you look at Aaron Rodgers' career, as great as it's been, Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I've never seen a quarterback more talented than Aaron Rodgers. The throws he can make, his agility, the way he moves around the pocket, everything is just next level.
Right.
And when I remember watching him in 2009 when they beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl, and I was saying then, we're going to be seeing a lot of him in these Super Bowls. I was like, Aaron Rodgers is about to take over this whole league. I remember telling all my friends that, and anyone I talked to about it, I thought he was the guy. And it just shows you how sports is, where we're sitting here in 2020, and this could potentially be Aaron Rodgers' first Super Bowl appearance since that Super Bowl. If you would have told me about 11 years ago, I never would have believed it. But due to injuries from team injuries, guys getting older, not having the right players, not having a running game, a doofus coach, all these things are the reason why that's happening. That being said, this game just means more to Aaron Rodgers than Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady's last 6 years, Pat McAfee on his podcast is absolutely unbelievable stat. His last 6 years of playoff games are better than Hall of Fame quarterbacks' entire careers of playoff games. Like he's 14-3 in his last 6 years of playing in playoff football. That's insane. This is absolutely insane. With 3 rings. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And what he's accomplished this year already is a victory. The fact that he took this team that didn't make the playoffs last year with a bunch of guys that have virtually no playoff experience besides Antonio Brown and Gronk, takes them to the NFC Championship game, goes into New Orleans and pretty much ends their whole run.
Yeah.
And now
he retired Drew Brees.
Right. Now having a chance to go to Lambeau and do this here, you've already won. You've won. So psychologically, it just means more for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is much different than Drew Brees.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron, he's the MVP of the league in my opinion this year. I think he's going to win it. I'm not sure. I mean, he's got to be the favorite.
Yes, he's definitely the favorite.
No
question.
If I had a vote, I would give it to him.
Yeah.
I don't see Tampa Bay going into Green Bay and beating Aaron Rodgers. I just don't see that happening. I don't care that Tom Brady.
Do you believe this is the first time Aaron Rodgers had an NFC Championship game in Green Bay? How crazy is that?
Well, he's only played in 2 of them, correct? This is his third one, or is it his second one?
This is his third one.
This is his third one.
He played last year, this year, and 09.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure 09, last year, this year.
So, I mean, it's only been, it's 1 out of 3. So he's at 33% clip.
But looking at his career and who you thought, he was going to be in that scope of things.
Yeah, but
this is
yeah, I mean, but he was
first NFC championship game there.
He number one just was plagued by a bad coach.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad GM because they draft good players there, just not the right players that he needs.
Right.
Outside of obviously Devontae Adams. But Rodgers was the first player that I noticed, and I'm sure that it had happened to other players prior. It just didn't catch my attention like it caught my attention with Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when the quarterback gets the big contract, the rest of the team suffers. Because Aaron Rodgers was that first guy that really, really broke the bank at quarterback. When he got his big deal, he was the first one that really, shattered. Most quarterbacks were earning, the top end at that time were earning 25, 26. Rodgers all of a sudden just reset the market at 35.
We look at Green Bay. Green Bay is a legendary franchise, but it's a small market team.
Yeah.
They don't have the capital that some of these big cities have.
Well, they don't need that.
Right, but you look at Green Bay, the majority of Green Bay is homegrown talent.
Yes.
They're not. You don't. How many big time free agents go to Green Bay? You had Reggie White,
Charles Woodson.
right? But
That's about it.
But Charles Woodson was on the downside. He went to resurrect his career. He was not the Charles Woodson from the Raiders. He actually became a different type of player.
Yeah, but he still had, when he got to Green Bay, he still played. He had it and won a Super Bowl.
You're right. But he was looking at a redemption project at going to Green Bay. He wasn't at that point. He was a guy. He was a name, and people knew him and respected him. But he wasn't a guy that was like, a top-notch free agent.
Well, like, so think about, like, why would you want to go live in Green Bay?
Right.
Right. I mean, no disrespect. I've never been to Green. I don't know disrespect to people that live there, but
Well, it's a small town.
Like,
it's like,
think about, like, why would you want to go live in Buffalo? Like, I hear Buffalo's a great place to visit. I never hear Buffalo's a great place to live.
Right. Right.
You know, like, why would you want to go live in Buffalo? Like, Marshawn Lynch has that legendary comment. Yeah, I love Buffalo because Applebee's was the only thing that was open.
Right.
So, I mean, it doesn't make. I mean, they have to be homegrown almost.
Right.
Or throw money around. Now, like they consistently bring in like those mid-level free agents, like the Smith brothers, the linebackers they brought in.
Right.
They'll consistently bring, but very rarely do they get the. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a name, a big free agent name in the last couple of years.
I mean, for the last 5 years ago with Dominic Sue.
Yeah.
Name like a person like that, like or an Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
they don't get guys like that. But
even having Aaron Rodgers, you don't get that.
Right. And they were lucky to get him. I mean, he dropped in the draft. Like he that was a happy accident. Like that, he wasn't even supposed to be down there when he got drafted. He was in the 20s. He projected originally to go.
I think he was 24th.
Yeah, he projected originally to go top 10. And
I mean, he was in the draft room. Like,
right.
Usually, don't get brought in the draft room if you're not one of the top 10 to 12, maybe 15 picks.
Right. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this is definitely a Green Bay, and like I like to bet a little bit. I'm this weekend's tough for me because like my head is saying Green Bay all the way, but I don't want to put money against the GOAT.
I think
I don't want to do that.
It could be an offensive showdown.
You think it'd be back and forth?
I think it could be.
Could be.
Honestly, if I have to predict a score, I'm going 34-28 Packers.
Okay.
Because you very rarely does Tom Brady ever just get shut out.
Right.
Oh
yeah, Tampa Bay's going to score. No question.
But Green Bay is gonna roll. So like
this could be very similar to the couple years ago when the Patriots played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
It was like 38-31.
And I heard some reporter, I forget what it was, asked a dumb question to Tom Brady, like, can you go play in Lambeau Field in those conditions?
Yeah, like Tom Brady hasn't been in New England for 20 years.
But what I am interested to see is how everybody else.
That's a great question. Like
on the team.
Like Mike Evans,
Mike Godwin, the defense.
Right.
So Gronk.
Because it doesn't feel good to get hit in the cold.
Gronk.
That doesn't feel good.
Gronk, not a problem.
Right.
Brady, not a problem. Antonio Brown.
Right, he'll be
not
okay.
a problem. If he's playing, because remember he got hurt at the end of the game.
Yes.
So we don't. I think he's going to play like all hands. It's the AFC title game. All hands on deck.
Right.
If you can walk, you can play.
Right. Be a decoy.
Yeah. And because even though you can clearly see Antonio Brown is starting to decline as far as the absolute just dominance.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
But his route running is still elite.
I agree. So, on the other side, we're gonna get into my happy moment.
Your happy moment?
Next matchup.
We'll also after
Bills,
that we got
Chiefs.
some fast food to discuss.
Oh, absolutely.
And
then
it goes.
And then we go to breakfast bars. Bradman in the morning. Marcus Brown, Justin Emery. We'll be right back. Yeah, man. Welcome back. Brad Emery in the morning. Marques Brown, Justin Emery. Before break, we're discussing the battle of the GOAT versus the talent GOAT.
And there's somebody, though, at the end of their career might be both of them.
Yeah, and that's in the next game. You got the Chiefs and the Bills. Patrick Mahomes, we're just going to assume he's playing.
Yeah,
Let's put I believe firmly that he's going to play in this game. I don't see how, unless there's a major setback, which I don't foresee. It seemed, I even felt good about him playing Sunday night. He was tweeting Sunday night. Andy Reid said immediately in press conference he was doing well.
At no point in time did I think he was never going to play in this game.
Right.
Unless his brain was jello, he was playing in this game.
So Andy Reid is, now that he has the Super Bowl under his belt, his legacy has significantly changed. And one thing I'm gonna bring up right now, which is amazing, is that we talked about it a little bit earlier, is the fact that he is the first coach to host 3 consecutive championship games twice, and on different conferences. NFC with the Eagles, 02-04.
No.
AFC.
No, that stat's even more impressive than you described it.
Okay.
He's the only coach to do it ever.
Yeah.
Not just twice.
Yeah.
The only coach he did not only just not once, twice.
He did twice. Yeah.
Okay. So
it's insane.
It's not like anybody else has done it once. He's the first guy to do it twice.
Right.
He's the only guy to do it once, and he's done it twice.
And you look at when he took over Kansas City, they were okay. They were a
playoff
okay.
team, but they were a 5th, 6th seed.
He didn't build them like he built the Eagles, but he put them in a completely different stratosphere.
So, you know how they have those crazy infomercials on where they're selling like coins, and they'll just like embroider or in the coin itself like each NFL team, and they got like somebody on there like, well, listen to you Kansas City Chiefs fans, why don't you buy the? Well, so I'm watching it one time. I don't know why I'm watching this. It was like 2 or 3 days after Andy Reid's final game, the first season in Kansas City.
Okay.
And I'm watching it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But the woman that's on, like the one that's pitching is an Eagles fan.
Right.
So she's like, so if you want to get this, all my Eagles fans, get this in Eagles green. And they bring random callers on, and she's like, Bill from Kansas City, you're on with it. And he goes, I would like to thank you guys for giving us Andy Reid. Oh my God! And I remember that I can hear that 7, 8, 9 years later, whatever it is, vividly in my head whenever I think of that.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
just they went from nothing,
right,
to dynasty.
And he could coach there forever because they're not a fan base that will ever clamor for him to leave.
And what if? I'm throwing this out there, and I'm getting my tinfoil hat on.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Hands up.
What if Eric B's the coach in waiting, and he's just like, stack these rings, and this is yours when Andy's done?
I mean, not a bad get to take over.
Because
if you can get Andy, Patrick Mahomes, what, 25?
He's 25 under a 10-year deal.
So if you can get Andy out of there in 3 years, like maybe Andy coached till Patrick Mahomes 28.
Even if he say split it down the middle, half and half.
You're gonna have Pat. Yeah, but he'll probably re-up at 35. You'll probably get another 3-4 year deal out of him.
No, but I'm saying instead of go to 30 instead of.
But you'll probably get 3-4 out of that on the back end too. He'll resign, so you can have him potentially for like 8 years, and prime Pat for 7-8 of those years.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a good deal.
Learn from one of I'd say top 5, if not top 3 head coach ever.
Yeah, and how about we talked about Belichick coaching tree? The Reid coaching tree is something special.
So I mean,
from maybe the greatest coaching tree of the Holmgren coaching tree, but the Reid coaching tree is something special.
I'm sure if I put this opinion out on Twitter, I'll get bashed for it. So
yeah, stay off Twitter. So I think we know.
I don't hate Eric B. People. Okay, I'm just trying to be objective about this.
We know how I feel about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, we do.
I think this is their time. I've been saying Buffalo Bills Super Bowl since about October.
I'm just so hyped for this game.
Me too. And
this might be the best game that we see of the entire year.
Yes, this is going to be a heavyweight fight.
Have they played each other this year yet? They played in the regular season?
No.
No? Okay.
This is the first matchup.
Has Allen ever played against Mahomes?
That I don't know.
Maybe
last year, but they didn't play this year. What I love about what you're seeing here is Buffalo. You see their rise, and they're peaking at all the right times, and they are one of the few teams that can go toe to toe offensively with the Chiefs. Now, I personally am under the how I feel about the Chiefs is I feel this year, not overall, but this year they're trending downward. The reason why I say that is because of their season. If you look at the Chiefs were not nearly – their record will say different, but if you look at the games they play and the way they play their games, they were not nearly as dominant as they have been they were last year or the year before. They were sort of pedestrian. Patrick Mahomes looked human this year. He bleeds. He didn't look like the guy. He didn't look like the guy. He didn't
look untouchable.
He looked like a superhero the past two years before this.
2 years ago, that 50 touchdown season.
Yeah,
he looked disturbingly good. Like it was uncomfortable how amazing he was.
And he still had a really good year this year.
And last year, a little bit less.
Right.
But I mean, when you come out in your first season, you throw 50 touchdowns, you're gonna come no matter what happens.
Exactly.
But like you said, this year he looked. I'm not gonna say pedestrian because he's a top 3 MVP candidate, but he looked human.
Yeah, but I think the Chiefs look pedestrian. He didn't look pedestrian. So when it comes to the games they play a lot of close games. I think 8 of their wins were 5 or less. Like they were getting by and had a couple questionable losses. The losses were questionable, and they could have lost a couple more. They struggled against the Chargers. They struggled against the Raiders twice. They lost the Raiders one time, but struggled against the second time. Also took a last couple-minute drive to beat them. So, and this is why it's so hard to repeat, because when you win a championship, it doesn't matter how good you are. Everything has to break right. You need everything to break right. It can't just be when it comes to how good you are. Everything has to go right. You have to be healthy. You have to get some breaks. You have to get some calls. No matter how good you are, you need all those things to win. And it's very hard to do that repeatedly.
Right.
And do that over the course of a couple of years. Now, I don't think this year is their year. I think next year, after not losing this year, they come back stronger for it. And they're probably in the Super Bowl next year. But this year, I think this is Buffalo's year. I think Buffalo has, you can just tell by the way they play, they are a tight-knit group. They have bonded together. Josh Allen's leap from last year to this year is astronomical. The addition of Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley were huge. And everything is aligning perfectly for them. And also, as good as the Chiefs' offense is, I don't think it's talked about enough as how average the Chiefs' defense is. They're not a great defense at all.
Not at all.
They are that you can score on them.
Wow. So I just went back. This is their first ever squaring off against each other. The last time these two teams played, it was Alex Smith versus Tyrod Taylor.
If this is done right, this could be the AFC sequel to Brady Manning.
Yes.
If this is done right. Now, obviously, we're saying this in today's landscape. Things can change very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar might have something to say. Some things could happen, but
Lamar's gonna have to make some improvements for them to say.
I agree.
He's gonna have to figure out some things. He needs to be able to throw the ball better than run the ball for them to say something. But Allen Mahomes could be the next Brady Manning if done properly. And I personally feel.
So I didn't mean. I just thought of somebody else that might want to put his name in there. Justin Herbert.
Herbert might have some under the right guidance. Under the right guidance.
He might be able to, might have to toss his hat in the ring.
He has tools.
Much like a Roethlisberger was to those two guys.
Yeah,
or a Joe Flacco was to those two guys.
There you go. Yeah, so for me, I look at this as like a 28-24 game. I'm going Buffalo. I just think this is their time. I think it's their moment. I think they are ready for prime time. And they are ready to go into Arrowhead and take down the champs.
Yeah.
And the champs have kind of been on, in my opinion, on borrowed time. I think this moment for them is because even last week,
People in Kansas City are mad right now. Ew.
even last week, you know, they beat the Browns.
Did beat the Browns.
They beat the Browns, but it turned out to be a struggle. Because again, in order to win a championship, you need everything to break the right way.
Yes.
All across the board. And there's a little bit of luck involved.
Yeah.
And you see the luck is not so much on their side this year.
Yeah. It almost felt like they were not really taking it seriously until they got to the playoffs.
Right.
Which, when you're so good, it's hard to get yourself up for every single game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I actually think the Chiefs win this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's an overtime win.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a grinder. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun weekend of football. But so we need to get to this. We have a couple minutes before we go to break. Our last break. We need to get into the breakfast conversation.
Yes. So, usually I'm a big breakfast guy. I don't know if you are.
I'm not.
Not. So I am, because like when I wake up, I'm starving when I wake up. I gotta eat breakfast fairly quickly.
Immediately.
Yeah. So usually on my way over here, I'll stop and grab some breakfast.
Okay.
If I didn't make it, sometimes I'll make it. If I'm running a little late, I'll just stop and grab something.
Okay.
I usually hit the 2 for $4 at McDonald's. You know, I'll just grab 2, and I always make sure I get the same thing. I really love the biscuits, the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Get 2 of them. This past week, though, on Tuesday, stopped by Burger King. Got the same thing, bacon, egg, and cheese on a biscuit. I might not be going back to McDonald's.
That's troubling.
I think Burger King might have knocked the iconic McDonald's off as the breakfast.
The legendary McDonald's, the Egg McMuffins, the sausage biscuits.
Yes.
The hash browns.
The hash browns.
The hot cakes.
The big breakfast.
The hot cakes.
Hot cakes.
In the brown styrofoam.
So.
With the McDonald's logo on it.
So, Rhea is she loves McDonald's. Like.
As a whole.
Okay. As a whole. She's a big McDonald's fan. She often says that the Sprite that they have, their soda, says this is the best soda around.
That's how I feel about their orange juice. I feel like their orange juice is insanely good. we'll have orange juice at the house, and if Amber runs out for breakfast, I say to her, "Yo,
go to McDonald's.
Get the McDonald's orange juice for sausage biscuits. We can't do it without it." And it's just something about that orange. I don't know what it is. It just tastes different, and it's amazing.
Well, if we're hanging out and I pass a McDonald's, if I'm relatively close to meeting up with her, I'm not gonna get it if it's gonna sit around for.
Right.
But I'll stop and just grab a McDonald's Sprite because I know.
What's her go-to meal?
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. So
So
let's talk about nuggets for 1 second.
Okay, the BK nuggets are better, but that's beside the point.
What?
Yes.
You're out of your mind.
No
way.
No.
So
I'm actually very close to converting her to the BK nuggets.
Stop it.
Haven't
McDonald's
gotten there yet, but we're trending. We're trending upwards.
So McDonald's nuggets back in the day, you didn't touch them.
Remember the 50-pack?
Yes, you didn't touch them though because you could get a McLigament in there.
Yes.
There were some things you take a bite out of it and you're like, I don't even know what's in there. There were times back in the day with McDonald's nuggets, you took a bite and there was literally no meat inside of it. It was just a pocket. But I don't know what happened around 2000 somewhere in there. They changed the recipe and it was just white meat. But they even advertised hey, we're all white meat now. Which you were like, why do we have to advertise that? That's weird.
So I remember there was in college there was a McDonald's right in the heart of State College. I'm sure it's still there. It's McDonald's. I'm sure it's still there.
Yeah.
But it was 24 hours. The dining room was 24 hours a day.
I like it.
So after the bars emptied out, you knew where to. It was going to get wild. It was going to be there or Taco Bell.
Right.
I was always a Taco Bell guy, but my neighbor was a huge McDonald's guy.
Yeah.
So we walk in there one time, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna go get these all white meat chicken nuggets from McDonald's." I remember looking at him.
He broke it down for you.
I looked at him like, what makes them all white meat? Why do they have to say that? He goes, they say it because they don't want you thinking that there's other types of meat in this.
Well, it was.
And I remember looking at him and being like, what the hell are you talking about, dude?
No, but it was. That was a thing. Back in the day, it was McLigaments.
Yeah.
You didn't know what was going to be inside that. You take a bite of it, and you were hoping You saw good white meat in there,
See,
but it could be dark.
See, I was always like I said yesterday. I was always a quarter pounder with cheese guy.
Yeah.
So that's
See,
that was my
McDonald's.
go-to.
It's hard for me because it's hard for me to slander McDonald's because of my childhood. Like I grew up McDonald's was a special thing for me. The Happy Meal, the toy inside the Happy Meal, the Ron McDonald, Grimace, the playground, like all of that stuff. McDonald's is special to me in that regard.
Like so, there was this taco spot in Vegas that has I put them in the running for the best tacos I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And Thursdays they had this chicken taco special that was untouchable, and right across, well, not right across, like around the corner from it was a McDonald's. So the move on Thursdays was we'd grab a ton of tacos and then grab a Sprite from McDonald's.
Okay, I like it.
And now I really only ever drink water. Like I don't drink soda or anything. So like
Amber thinks I'm so weird because I do that. I'm a water, like I'll eat a cheesesteak and drink water with it.
Yeah, like I really only ever drink water. So when I go out, they're like, "Well, what do you want for drink?" I don't even need a drink. Usually I'll take my own bottle of water with me anyway.
That's me too.
But we tacos and Sprite from McDonald's.
All right.
Now remember the old school Burger King fries had the breadcrumbs on them.
Yes.
They need to bring those back.
Yeah.
The
old school logo's back, so maybe.
Yeah. And you know what place has elite breadcrumb fries? The best breadcrumb fries ever?
What's that?
Lancer's Diner.
Lancer's
Diner.
Local Lancers.
Lancer's Diner.
I've had a night or two at Lancers after a night out. That's a great when you can end your night at a diner, that's a great night.
Now
that's a great night, a great way to end your night.
I don't recommend the customer service there.
Yeah.
But
it
the
get
food,
a little scary. But the
food is A+.
Yeah. Diner food after a night out is definitely legendary. No question about it. But so we're gonna take a break. Our last break
of the
back.
week.
And when we come back,
been waiting.
When we come back,
we waiting. Is he ready?
I know I'm ready. I hope he's ready.
I hope he's ready because I've been ready.
We're gonna tell you who's on the other side. But breakfast bars are coming.
Yeah, they are.
It's Brad Emery.
I'm getting emotional over here for it.
Marcus Bradham, Justin Emery. We will be right back. Hi, I'm Marcus Bradham. I'd like to talk to you today about Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream. Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream was voted by USA Today the best ice cream parlor in Pennsylvania. Uncle Mike's is family-owned and dedicated to the production of premium quality gourmet ice cream and sorbet, made fresh daily on the premises using the highest quality ingredients available. Uncle Mike features over 30 unique, delicious flavors offered in scoops, sundaes, shakes, and special order ice cream cakes and pies. Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream is located at 537 York Road, Warminster, and is open all year round. Visit Uncle Mike's and let their friendly staff serve you happiness one scoop at a time. I'll do.
all day.
Bradham and Emery in the morning. Marques Bradham, Justin Emery. Waiting for the guest to jump on. Working on it now. So you guys get a brief, extended monologue of listening to me. But it's all good. So we got the lines up for this week. I'll give you guys some betting lines real quick while Marcus gets everything hashed out on his end with the guest. So we'll start off with the first game, like we had mentioned, is going to be the Packers and the Buccaneers. I mean, right now it's steady holding at -3 for the Packers, which is basically just giving them the 3 points for the home field advantage. But I mean, let's be honest. If you can probably tease that up if you want to like a -5.5, and you'll still be fine. I don't know if I'd take it much higher than that, but if you want to go and push them into the plus money category, because they're going to win the game, I would take them all the way up to -5.5. Sitting at -190 on the money line. I mean, there's value in that, but once you start getting close to the -200 for a playoff game, that's when I'm going to start being out. It's the same thing on the Buffalo-Kansas City Chiefs game, though, whereas they're both holding at -3 there as well. I mean, I'm taking Chiefs money line -166. I know Marcus is going to pound the Buffalo Bills money line at plus money. So we'll get to see on there. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers over 2.5 touchdowns. I'm taking Brady over 1.5 touchdowns. I'll ride with Josh Allen over 1.5 with Stephon Diggs to catch one of those. And we'll also go with let's see, Mike Evans and Godwin to both catch touchdowns. So breaking it down, that's what my picks are. I know, like I said, Mark's going to pound the Bucks plus money line.
I am going to punish the Bucks money line.
I'm sorry,
the Bills money line, absolutely. But listen,
punish the Bills
listen
money
to
line.
me. Listen to me. It is time to get down to business. Now, we talked about this earlier in the show. This is going to happen today. This is going to be an every Friday segment. Justin and I have already talked about how we're a huge fan of hip-hop, right? We're hip-hop heads from the core. And we're hip-hop heads. We love the bars. We're all about the bars. So, yeah, it's a sports show. But at the same time, this is a show of entertainment. And we come here to entertain. Now, how it's going to work is every Friday we're going to bring up a rapper. And they're going to literally rap us off the air with a freestyle. You call it Freestyle Fridays. You can call it Breakfast Bars. You can call it whatever you want. And I can't think of a better person to get this started than my family, my cousin, Drew the Pitcher, who actually is a guy who did my original run on the Give and Go podcast. He did my theme song on that show. I had a show before that, Neapolitan podcast. He did my song before that. He's a lyricist, a wordsmith. I remember back when I was a kid, we used to play basketball together, right?
Right.
So Drew, we have on a song, and Drew would just be sitting in the passenger seat just freestyling. Just freestyling the beat. Just sitting next to me, he was like my own stereo.
Well, it very much reminds me of like we had talked about with Dave Chappelle early on.
All right, so let's get into it. Drew, you here?
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's up, my guy? What's up, my guy?
Apologize for all the technical difficulties. Y'all hear me?
Hey,
yes,
sir. We got you in here, man. Listen, we got to get going soon, but I want to give you a chance to plug. What you got coming on, man? What's going? What you working on right now?
Oh man, we're pretty much putting together like a little bit of a coming in / going away package, a retirement package. It's going to be entitled "Filing for Disability."
Filing for disability.
Filing for disability.
Filing for disability. I like it. I like the wordplay. I like it.
So, yeah,
I like it.
It's going to have a little bit of a storyline to it. It's going to be a little interesting twist. I got Drew Decker in here as well and everything. He says shouts out to you as well.
Hey, man.
But Happy New Year, by the way.
Appreciate you guys. Now, listen, when that music's ready to go, you know we got to debut it over here at Bradham Emery. We got to do that.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
Yeah,
you got to make something happen.
Send us some things, man. Send some things. But listen, you know why you're here, right?
Oh yeah.
We about to get to these bars, son.
I had a little bit of a suspicion that I might have had a reason.
We about to get to these bars right now. All right, so listen, I'm gonna say first of all, follow me at Marcus B Tweetin on all platforms.
Everywhere at Justin Emery Show. Like I said, you want to interact though, hit me on Twitter.
Bradham Emery Pod everywhere, Instagram and Twitter. Now, you can be with us or you be against us, but you're never gonna stop us. Late. Let's get to these bars.
Ain't that right? I like it. As I soak my tongue in the jacuzzi of rum and turn my brain into a liquor sponge, absorbing the woozy mind state of the slumps. The ground beneath me drunk from the bottles that we dump for the bodies that we slump, lives that we disrupt. A toast to my foes who wish we never had a grudge. A toast to the crows who never tasted rappers' blood. A word to the wise that may appear ill-advised. Even the alert often get murked by surprise. So I'm drinking, loving intoxication, pacing. Some things just get better as they're aging. So I made a wine out of California raisins. In the zone, sip from the fountain, the youthful Ponce de Leon. Blowing steam in the midst of my dreams. I had to rise as God for struggle needed reasons to fantasize, analyze. I let this music scene vandalize. Tag my name in embedded it so they can't remove the stain. I do my thing, play my position while I'm trying to escape life like Claude Banks and Ray Gibson stay twisting. So my elders look up to me despite our age difference. All times on liquor help you gain wisdom. So now I know when to blend in, know when to stand out, know when the haters whisper, know when the fans shout, know when they come in peace, know when they show attack, know when to roll with the punches, know when to throw them back. Know unfamiliar grounds, know my environment. Know that you can't feel pressure when you applying it. Know that the apple's sweet, but know the core sour. Know that the sun will never shine all 24 hours. Know the mark of the beast, 3 6s imperfection. Know my mark on these beats, it's 777. Know how to put up points, don't know who's keeping score. Know that y'all ain't catch what I just said in the line before. Know I got room for improvement, but I can't find the space. Know when the wind blows and knocks things out of place. Know how to smell the gas way before it hits the flame. Know when it's said and done, everybody gonna know my name, you know.